Hello, 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 everyone. Lisa Bowles here, otherwise known as the Soul Mapper. It is Thursday, March 19th, 2026, and we're looking at April. Welcome, welcome. Susanna is here. Faye, hi, Faye. Helen is here. Hi, Helen. Patrice, Sylvia, hello. And Nancy, welcome, welcome. We're going to hang out for another minute before we dive in, just to give other folks a chance to arrive before we do. Yeah. April is not quite as populated with moves and influences, although there's still quite a bit going on. And if you are a member of the current, or you joined because you wanted to take the deeper story of 2026, I want to remind you that we start back up with practices. Erica's going to grab those dates. Not so much practices, but processes, because there's some particular dates worth paying attention to and working with. So keep your eye on the chat today for those dates. We're going to pop them in at least once, maybe twice. And I just wanted to remind you so that you have them in your calendar. Okay. And we will also be talking about the deeper story a little bit. For those of you who are kind of sitting on the fence, there's still time to join. And what's happening this quarter and next quarter are definitely worth leaning into. So there's that. I think we're going to dive into April. Okay. Erica, next slide, please. I'm always going to remind you about the big backbeats, because they're definitely worth paying attention to, especially given the year that we're having. So every so often, it might just be worth touching in with your notes or going back to the implementation guide from Live for 2026 so you can refresh, okay? Because they're still working away, and keeping that in mind every so often can be really useful, okay? All right, next slide, please. These are the shorter term influences still in play. The dates underlined are when they begin to phase out. This is also worth paying attention to, and you can go back to the implementation guides or your own notes, because the one for March was in Live for March implementation guide. The one that started February 6th is in February's Live implementation guide, et cetera, et cetera. You might want to take a screenshot of this. That last one in particular, it becomes a backbeat because it's live and really working hard for us till 2028. And you may notice, if you've been following, that it had a big hand in the womb of creation that happened February 20th and is active, very active in partnership with Neptune. And so you really might want to tune into that one. Okay. Next slide, please. April. Yes. Next slide. I'm going to go. So if I don't keep my eyes here, it doesn't mean I don't love you. I'm not making no eye contact because I don't love you. It's because I have my eyes on my notes. Okay. Because I don't want to miss anything on you. So right on the 1st, we have a full moon in Libra, and it's going to be a gorgeous full moon. Its emphasis and focus is on relationships of all kinds. So I say this often when I talk about Libra, when I talk about the 7th house. It's all about relationships, but that doesn't mean intimate relationships exclusively. It means all relationships of every kind, not just with human beings, okay? Connection. It's all about connection. And I'm going to say partnering. Now, we've spoken a couple of times about the fact that the vast majority of us don't really expect, I learned this from the coursework that I do, and thank you to all the beta participants who helped me recognize this, because it was in my face too, but it was so close I couldn't see it, that we really don't expect to be partnered with or partnered with well. And that extends to our own connection and relationship to the divine or God or goddess, what universe, whatever you want to call it. So this particular full moon really wants us to look more deeply at our framework around partnership and deep connection and where that comes from, what our beliefs are around it, so that we can help ourselves be in more collaborative partnership more fully. Okay? I also want you to know that it's very possible that work you've been doing around collaboration in partnership could, if they've been percolating since the new moon in Libra about 6 months ago, there could be a defining moment that comes because of this full moon. Okay? Because that's a full lunation cycle, 6 months. So I really want to encourage y'all to keep that in mind, that over the 2 weeks after the 1st of April, there could be a really significant defining moment. And it could be because we tend to think of relationship as specifically with an intimate partner versus all kinds of relationships and not just with humans. It could be easy to miss. And it's one you don't want to, because there could be some really good things in there for you. Okay? One of the other things that this particular full moon will be asking, and as our proxy, she, is asking us on our behalf, is there some place in relationship, in partnership, where you are not quite in? You're 1 foot out. And so the question really is, are you in or are you out? It'll be asking us for recognition of where we are not quite fully committed. And again, that won't be here, it'll be in here. And so again, paying attention to that, keeping that question in mind, kind of scanning your world, because it'll be in feeling that won't necessarily have language. And that could be really important to pay attention to. Okay? The other thing that's really interesting about this is, in spiritual lingo, for quite some time, the notion of being attached has been, yeah, you don't want to do that. And a whole lot of recent study and research in the area of human development has illustrated that it's the style of attachment, not attachment itself, that is at issue. Okay? And so this particular full moon, given everything else that's going on, is asking us to rethink the model of detachment as the way to go. And it's saying, yeah, that wasn't quite what, yeah, no, maybe not. And so there's a kind of shifting of our understanding of what that is in healthy ways versus attachment of all forms is bad. No, it's not. Okay? Okay. Next slide, please. And that could be a major change for a number of human beings on the planet right now, just saying. And I'm going to say of the male persuasion, although those of us who were born and raised, or should I say conditioned, to be female, there could be some stuff for us, but more likely the other half that are going to feel it particularly deeply. They may not know what's going on, though. April 8th to May 18th, our action instinct, otherwise known as Mars, here in Soul Map Land, moving into Aries. So pay close attention to Aries, because we got lots of Aries energy, and that's worth taking stock of. So that means, and you've heard me talk about this before, there is Well, I'm going to assume many of you have. I'm going to repeat it a lot this year. There is elevation, and then there is, the word has gone right out of my head. Starts with a P. We do things over and over again, okay? And we tend to do them, and the word will come to me in the middle of our hour together, but here we are. Aries, if we're watching carefully, a great many people are coming from all the patterns they're repeating. And pattern by itself is not a problem. It's the unconscious side of a pattern in repetition. That's what's going on. So we're going to spend a lot of time talking about this year, because that means that people are coming in hot. And by hot, I mean cranky, pissed off, wanting to control first themselves, emotion or the experience of emotion, and other people. Okay. So when Mars itself shows up in Aries, spiciness, heatedness, shows up a lot. And this is really good news for us, because people who have had difficulty being in their anger from a healthy perspective, this is going to go, come on. Acknowledge your anger and find powerful ways to be present to it so that you can act on what is not okay with you. That's why the action on steroids point. It's like, we got to move. So how do we do that if we don't know how to handle our fire? Okay, because this is a fire element, and boy, oh boy. All right. And it's not sitting on it. It's not pretending that we don't feel anger because we're doing spirituality well. It's feeling it fully. Okay. And being moved into action because we know that it's needed without necessarily burning the house down to do it. Another thing that's really interesting here is to look for ways to be, well, no, it's about changing the conversation around power. Because when we're in propensity, see, I told you the word would come to me, P. When we're in propensity, Mars acting and expressing through Aries tends to want to have power over and to be the one who decides who someone else is or isn't in the larger human story. Okay? Power and control. The definition that we're currently living and having issues with a lot comes from the story as told through propensity. There's going to be a lot of people called during this period to go, what if I didn't live that story from propensity? So what I'm trying to say is, you may find that your own personal relationship, did we talk about relationship? Yes, we did. Your relationship with the story of power, the story of anger, the narrative about who gets to decide what gets done, how it gets done, who has a voice, etc., that could be very much in the reworks while this is going on. Okay. This is raw and revitalizing energy that wants us to be active in the name of what we're here to, I'm just going to say, protect. Okay. Yeah. And it can bring unstoppable momentum that is designed to help you kick off an ambitious project, train for something, likely physical, and pursue a passionate interest with unstoppable energy. Okay. So there's that word again, unstoppable. Now, couple of quick things. Propensity can creep in, and that can have you, try and, I'm going to say, manhandle yourself into a kind of momentum that's about the larger story. I'm going to be super productive, and we manhandle ourselves. That's very different than being in this momentum energy. Very different. It could activate ambition in folks who are, because the larger cultural story for, I'm going to say millennia, has been that you and I, women's or female identifying people, our ambition behaves very differently. And that the examples we've had of ambition have been from propensity expression. That means ambition and momentum expressed from a truer connection to this energy. That could surprise you. And that could help you change your relationship with both of these things: momentum, unstoppability, and ambition. Okay? Okay. Last thing I want to say about this: please know that while this is in play, because of all the other big stuff, we need to be expressing the energy through our body, or our circuits could get a little fried. Okay? Don't be surprised if you feel fidgety. That's because your body's going, move me. I need to channel this energy. I need to disperse this energy. So, you might want to put this in your calendar. Definitely, definitely. Even if that's the only thing you pay attention to. Okay. And remember, I renamed Mars Action Instinct. This is less about thinking what you're going to act on and more about listening to your life and watching yourself move and going, oh, I thought I was stuck. Okay. Yeah, very different. Next slide, please. April 14th until May the 2nd, our communication savant, otherwise known as Mercury, begins to function through Aries. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Aries, Aries. Okay. Because our communication savant has spent a lot of time in retrograde recently, there's a whole lot of people, myself included. I've watched this. This has been a season, a retrograde season that has been mental fog like crazy. And so for a great many of us, it has been hard to be with our own ideation. That changes once this shift happens. First, because we've left retrograde, then because we move into Aries. This is about being original. This is about being in our ideation in a way that has them pop all over the place like flowers and buds coming out at spring. Okay? So if you have felt kind of foggy and I can't, and this will be a market difference. And for some of us, it could be a bit abrupt and kind of wild horse. Oh, really? Year of the fire horse. Yeah. Okay. It will have us kind of, our minds kind of snapping back into action, going from where it has been in Pisces. So it's been in Pisces, which is kind of nebulous and watery and not terribly distinctness. Inspiration, yeah, but distinct and clear and not so much. You put it in retrograde and holy moly. When this shifts, our minds are going to snap back into action. Quick, sharp, brimming with possibilities that we're more likely to see with distinction associated. Okay? Now, here's the thing I also want to say. Have your voice note app, your notebook, if you'd rather do the writing, anything that helps you capture ideas, because they will be coming at us like tsunami. Okay? And that's the other thing I wanted to say. Not all of them are going to be meant for you. There's going to be a lot flying around. Not all of them are meant for you. Note taking will help you capture. And then what you want to do is watch for the repetition of an idea or a couple of ideas. Because if they keep coming back, they're meant for you. Okay? Because they want you to be the person who acts on them. And so they'll repeat to kind of go, yeah, I'm in the tsunami, but I'm waving at you. Okay? Anywhere where you can record them will be useful. This could mean, especially if your communication savant, your Mercury, is Aryan in your map or your birth chart, depending on what you want to call it. You could find that this wakes you up at night with an avalanche of ideas. I want you to know you have agency. You can say, because I'm sure you don't want to be 3 weeks without good solid sleep any more than I would. You can, at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, say, okay, come back, see me tomorrow. If you're meant for me, you can repeat, you can come back. Wave at me after I've had a good night's sleep. Alrighty? The first couple of days of this could feel quite giddy, fun, enjoyable, especially for those of us who have a lot of air in our map, okay? The trick is if you forget you have agency, that giddiness and enjoyment after a couple of days of not getting enough good quality sleep could wear real thin. And you don't want to forget you have agency and what? Partnering relationship. Mm-hmm. Then this could have effects you don't want it to. Okay? Yeah. Alrighty? All right. Next slide, please. April 17th, we have a new moon in Aries. Oh, more Aries. Hello. If you're ready to turn to a fresh page in your life or in your personal history, this is the new moon to work with. Big, fat, fresh page energy. And I cannot encourage you enough to lean in and work with, partner with this new moon. Okay? They're going to, so partnerships with this particular new moon are going to offer you a kind of reset that will bring refreshed perspectives on the areas that you want a fresh page or a fresh start in. Okay? Refreshing perspective, reset and refresh perspective. Alrighty? I want you to also know that the perspectives that come and the fresh starts you're offered could be one of two things. And sometimes it's a combo, and that's worth being with agency and discernment. So one is daring. This may kind of dare you to do something that has you go, Aries again. All right? It could be a little trippy. The other thing is that it might be impulsive energy. Just, the old do it, right? So it could just be energy that has you move impulsively without touching in with a moment or two space to contemplate how you wish to be spontaneous. So there's a difference between spontaneousness and impulsiveness. And sometimes this can express through propensity that has us become impulsive and outside of agency. So take care. Alrighty? Now, don't use that as a check on yourself, like that is about this is too bold, this is too daring. You still want to use the energy, and it's going to ask you to. But it's about fresh start. So you might want to take some time to ask yourself to kind of review your life. So where could I use a fresh start? What place in my life or places? Don't create a 10-point list too much. 1, 2 places, key places. Okay? I want you to also know that if the fresh start you're looking for, or the fresh start your life needs, and this kind of, take a look here, means moving away from situations or people, relationships that aren't in your best interests, don't be surprised. Okay, that might be why we might be resistant to. I'm not saying just go do it, but keep in mind that this may ask you to prepare yourself for the doing of it. Okay? Okay. This is also one of the best days of 2026 for starting a new project, a solo project, or striking out on an independent path. Okay? So you may have been working in a collaboration for that served you really well, that has been gorgeous and yummy, and it's time to go solo. Okay? Okay. Next slide, please. April 19th to May the 20th, our force of nature, the sun, shifts into Taurus. So we don't have Aries now. But I want you to know that because we've had so much Aries going on, and there's Aries in the background that's rather large, this may feel like someone put a halter on you and you've been going full bore, and all of a sudden, yank. Okay? Just want you to know, especially if you're air, you have a lot of air or fire in your map or your birth chart. Okay? But there's really important things. Taurus, this sun in Taurus time, by the way, happy birthday, Taurus, means that we're going to be moving faster than Taurus normally has the sun have us kind of do our thing because of all the Aries energy. All right? So it's a really interesting combo. The other thing that it's going to do is have us, how should I say this? Take all the ambition energy that got kicked up and is very with you, and have us go, okay, now it's time to start creating something that will be sustainably lasting. It's time to get down to brass tacks and take all that creative yum yum and build. Okay? It's very practical. It's like, I love the vision. Gorgeous. I see it. I want to feel it in my body and I want to bring it to life. Let's do that. Okay? It's very, 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 very practical. And it wants to take the big ideas, particularly those that have happened since Mercury shifted into Aries. Okay? And bring them down to earth, and or polish anything that you've already started to take action on, but polish them so that they become refined and, very, very attractive. Because one of the things that Taurus is involved with is Venus, and love, love, love. Let's polish the gems so that they are sparkly and people won't stop and look, stop and engage, stop and, okay. So the whole stop energy, it's helpful, but you have to partner with it. Oh, there's that word again. Okay. The other thing that's really, really, really going to be alive, essential, is being with what feels good to us, and not so that we can bypass, because that's not the thing. It's about being in the human experience of being delighted, in the human the human experience of deliciousness, in the human experience of, oh, things smell good, things taste good, things feel good. Do you understand what I mean? The last thing, essential, 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 and I mean this, beauty. And I want to talk about that a little bit, because when I say beauty, I don't mean, just this. I mean things that are beautiful to us things that are beautiful to the human species. So like beautiful food, beautiful fragrance, beautiful presentation, because we lean towards what is beautiful to us. That includes conversations, questions, experiences. You get my drift? Essential is beauty. I also want to add an extra piece that my work has taught me. Beauty is alive and intelligent. Inside beauty, there's information, and we lean in not just because we're feasting, but because there's a deeper feast going on or potential. Okay, it's not optional during this period. So if you work in any of those places, food, fragrance, anything that helps us experience what it is to be human and in a human body, in a way that has us feast, favorite field, baby. Big time favorite field. Okay. Entrepreneurs. One of the most important things about this for us is that the craving, the desire to feast will be very alive. Keep that in mind, regardless of what your purposeful work is. But the engagement with you, people will be hungry to feast. Okay. It's going to be an essential part of the equation. So if you have a launch to do, if you have a webinar or a taste test or anything of that nature, keep that in mind. If you are at the beginning of creating a body of work or a new business presentation, so a new website or a website upgrade or collateral materials upgrade, they're going to have to be beautiful and feel luxurious if you're going to do them during this window. Okay? So please keep that in mind. The next slide, please. April 24th to May 18th, our charisma of cause, Venus, will be working through Gemini. Oh, this is really important also for taste tests, webinars, et cetera, or any written material or spoken material. Why? Because when Venus is working here, words are almost aphrodisiac. Okay? Yeah. If you've been struggling to find words or even create words, my darling late husband, he had a talent for this. And maybe you do too. The finding or the creating of words that capture, at least in part, the ephemeral in your work, this is an important time. Wildly important time. So if your work is helping people find the language or create the language that expresses the ephemeral, the almost wordless, boom, okay? Curiosity, sparking curiosity, leading conversations, convening conversations that spark curiosity, encourage curious conversation that goes deeper than usual. Ooh, this could be a big, big time. So this entire window, really good for webinars, taste tests where you're communicating. Okay, especially if that webinar features not a presentation so much as a conversation. I also suspect, given what I'm watching and all the other things that are moving around, that there could be people who, because they're listening to deeply to this, orient them, that they come to, I'm going to say, not invent, but kind of evolve taste tests, webinars, et cetera, so that they're less presentation and more conversation, or that presentation, conversation get woven together in really inventive new ways. Okay? That encourages and optimizes the power of curiosity. All right? Yeah. This could be a stellar time, a stellar time. All right. To experiment with communication, with new words, new language, curiosity driven conversation woven together with presentations. Okay. Now, take care, because it will be really easy to kind of be a little mixed signal for all of us, and to lose track of your own place in your own story with, okay. Yeah. Gemini is overseen by Mercury, and when he's expressing here in combination with Venus, our charisma of cause, he can be a little trickstery. So you might want to have on hand bullet notes of the story you're telling, so that if you lose your place, or because you could just get chatty, and we could go in the conversation and lose our place because you're still holding space, you might want to have a bullet list of the key pieces you don't want to lose track of. And with the mixed signals thing, you might want to run this once or twice, do a bit of a beta, so that you can see where things might be kind of murky. Okay. But otherwise, really, really good window. Next slide, please. And this is the last of the big moves of the month. April 25th to May 22nd, our benevolent rebel Uranus also working through Gemini. So this is another sign that has a lot of sway this month and into next month. The pull to innovate and disrupt in the name of innovation, in the name of change, in the name of how do I say this? We've gotten this far for good reason, but these things are going to keep us. Yeah, so we need to, and it will have us challenge our own ideas. I say this to you, if your body of work is about challenging the framework or key ideas, traditional notions, some best practices, some in your field, it could, because everything is kind of up for reconsideration. In part because our benevolent rebel wants us to see where we're locked in, where we should not be. And that has an awful lot to do with what we communicate, how we communicate it, whether or not we even know we're in a story. Remember, we live the stories we tell, even though we may not know we're telling a story. All of that is up for grabs, and it wants to be up for grabs where we have the most creative impact. And that usually is within our personal lives, but also in our body of work, in our purposeful work. Okay. Everything is up for reconsideration, reinvention. Now, normally you hear me say that during Mercury retrogrades. I want to remind you, Mercury oversees Gemini. So you put you put these two together, and oh my goodness. So the places to pay closest attention are communication, connection, learning, and sharing truth. Okay? It also means that your routines are in those particular areas, and in your marketing are kind of up for grabs too. Alrighty? So your routines, things that you kind of relied on because you do them on the regular, think newsletters, think blog postings, think all those things, those routines might get a bit shaken up too, for good reason. So if that ends up becoming part of your experience, rather than, because it'll be frustrating at first, it might even be surprising. Having this context means that when this rolls around, if that does become part of your experience, you can go, oh, wait, right, okay, huh. And you can be frustrated and still engage with this. Look for where you're fascinated. And that might be hard when you're first feeling frustrated, but look for where or what is fascinating you. Okay? The last thing about that word fascination, I also want to say fascination with tech, cutting edge technology could pop up for you. And you may be someone who has said, I'm not going to go anywhere near AI, it's evil, or I'm not going to go anywhere near X, Y, or Z because that may change while this is in motion because there's something about that particular expression of technology that's calling you, especially if your routines are kind of up for grabs. Okay. What Uranus, what our benevolent rebel will be attempting to do is cause within us a rebellion against our no period, because there may be good reasons why you're being asked to pay attention to it, um, because there may be a staleness inside the no, for lack of a better word, that wants to be kind of shaken up so you can be free of the staleness, not the no, but the staleness that exists inside the no. Inside every yes, inside every no, there's layers. It's not singular and comprehend, like there's layers. I'm no to this, but that. And what this wants to do is help you see there's layers and layers of context inside a no that, especially if you're practicing saying a firm, agency driven no. Yeah. And you might also be saying no to yourself somewhere in there, that the need for that is beginning to expire. So keep that in mind. Alrighty? All right. Whew. Now let's go look at opportunities. Next slide, please. Oh, wait, yes. I forgot about this. There is still time, my friends. We talked about it at the very beginning of the year. If you remember live for 2026, we talked about quarters. And there are really important, opportune moments and chapters. Inside the chapters, there's windows of opportunity that leaning in and living could change the trajectory of your life and ours. So we're in the second quarter. The processes and practices in April are kind of a big deal. So please remember, you can still put yourself in. It's worthwhile to consider. Okay. Yeah, Erica, if you haven't put the dates in for April's processes, please do. And if you could put the link in to review, and if you want to put yourself in, please consider it. I'm already noticing people's lives shifting from the lean-ins done in the first quarter. I don't want you to miss this. And the third quarter's massive, and I don't want you to miss that either. Okay? So please do consider this. Okay, let's get to the opportune days. So 13th, 19th, 23rd, and the 28th. Let's go dive in a little bit more deeply. Next slide. So the 13th, this is going to come for many of us with buckets of can-do courage and compassion. Normally, courage and compassion are not woven together like they will be this day. So the impulsivity, because I bet you can tell there's some Mars or Aries energy in here. The impulsivity will be cooled by compassion so that we are in spontaneous call to be courageous rather than just, okay? It's a really, really big day. April 19th, go, 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 green like green flag day. Alrighty? Now, you may feel compelled to act that day. Don't be surprised if you do. But it may also be the signal your life gives you that this particular idea or this particular consideration or this particular project is like, okay, you now have a green light. Let's go. And that energy will follow you. It isn't just for the 19th, but it's sparked by the 19th. Okay. Next slide, please. April the 23rd, serious wild card wowza to help break us out of any place where we're in a rut. And I use that word particularly because all of us, we like some things to be consistent. It gives us a feel of agency. It gives us a feeling of safety. It gives us all kinds of things. But if we're in a rut, kind of a groove that we've found it really difficult to kind of get out of because it's now time to not just go round and round, okay? This energy could be very, very helpful, but it might also be daunting, okay? Please put this in your calendar so that if that day has you wild card and it feels, you'll know why, because you'll have the context, okay? And then you can kind of breathe your way into the usefulness and ability to be self-possessed as a partner with this energy. Because if it's calling for you as your proxy, there's good reason, okay? April 28th, off the charts, magnetic chemistry, making that day a stellar day for taste tests, webinars, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, don't want you to miss out on that. Now, let me just say this. Your ability to be present to what happens or moves in you or in your life from the 13th, the 19th, and the 23rd are likely preparatory for the 28th. So if something moves around, please don't ignore it, okay? Or fight it. Go deeper into your no to find out what you're saying no to, but all right. I don't normally say that, but because so many things are working with a lot of the other things, that's what's showing up for our opportune days this month. All righty? Okay. Next slide. Neutral. Yes, ma'am. Neutral, neutral. Now we have lots of them. And in two cases, on the 3rd and on the 16th, we have two influences at work. So let's go dive deep into those. Next slide, please. April the 3rd. The energy of this one is get everyone on the same page so we can move forward together. This is a shared sovereignty, big time. Now, given that very few people know that they are not as self-possessed as they might think, and most of us are not very practiced at sharing sovereignty, don't even know there is such a thing. This is a really practice deepening your own self-possession kind of day. Why? Because your interactions with those that you're trying to move forward, and that can be internal family systems, internal part systems, as much as it can be out here. Your ability to be self-possessed that day could help others align, because sometimes alignment happens because you're a tuning fork that they want to align with, that they just naturally gravitate towards. Okay? Now, if there's something in the air that needs to be spoken out loud, cleared, it's a clear the air kind of day, because that will make way for the moving forward. But you got to do the clear the air first. Now, take care about that, because the tempers will be running hot, because we're accustomed to acting from propensity. Let's everybody move forward. And we try to force movement. So when people resist being forced to move, there can be temper, as there should be. Again, it's an opportunity to work with propensity and deepen our own capacity to be self-possessed. Whether that means we're doing some air clearing, whether we're meeting someone who's attempting to move us forcefully, or we want to help a group, internal or external, move forward. Okay? This could be a very big day. Now, we have another influence. Yes? So let's see that next one. Okay. Raising the grain on less than obvious assumptions. Wow. Interesting. That would be there on this day. So if you understand this context and you encounter a moment where things need to be cleared, or we want to help things move forward, clearing your own assumptions, being aware that there may be assumptions active that you aren't aware of, or the other people in space aren't aware of, or parts of you aren't aware of. Okay? This because, alrighty? The call to move forward is in the air twice. And it has us kind of come at it from with two internal mandates that won't be in our brains, but the calling will be very alive. And most of us would rather just take things at face value, but on this day, that's not going to help. Now, if you are a counselor or a therapist, I want you to pay real close attention to this, because if you hold space for a client or a patient who's been working with something and she really wants, he really wants, they really want to move forward, having this context could be really useful, especially if you work with internal systems. Okay? Like a big day. Okay. Next slide, please. April 5th, give and take plenty of breathing room or space today for you. All right? Fiery frustrations to just run off with things. Remember, this is pretty close to the third, and all that move forward stuff is lingering. Okay? And this comes along because it wants us to press pause, not just carry on, like press pause. Move forward, yes, but sometimes moving forward means, hang on, did I just get run off with? And how did that happen? Okay? Because our frustration could run off with us, or someone else's poke to get us to move forward might have caused us to just run off. Year of the fire horse. Okay? Next slide, please. And again, this is a double day. So the first influence, compassion and forgiveness, starts with you today. Right? And we're not talking first and foremost about forgiving and being compassionate with other people. We're starting first with us. Especially if we found the third, the fourth, and the fifth, and the couple of days after that, challenging. Right? There's some influence in here that could kick up old angers and keeping score resentments. And they could just spill over because the third, the fourth, the fifth, and a couple of days in there could have stirred them up. This day will have them come, they'll be real alive. Okay? And if we have not had a really healthy working relationship with anger at all, or to limited degree, and we just kind of, especially with ourselves, this wants us to soften towards ourselves because that's been the case. And also, it just wants to draw our attention to, oh, I have some anger and some power here I haven't known how to be with. Pay very close attention to anything you feel resentful about this day if you want clues, because it may be down here and inaccessible here until you turn towards it. Okay? Again, if you're a therapist or a counselor, smart day to work with clients. The next one is pause, pause, pause. This influence wants us to pause, in part because the words or the answers to why am I feeling like this might be just out of reach because we need to be with it a bit. Expressing or explaining, even to ourselves, may feel very difficult. And that's not because our inner world is trying to piss us off. It's because it's asking us to come down deeper. Okay. And if you attempt to power through, to just manhandle yourself and do that, oops. So take care. All right. And again, if you're a counselor, a therapist, someone who works with people around these kinds of bits of emotional work, take care, because people are going to need time. And this wants to give it to them so that instead of taking responsibility for stuff that isn't ours, or foreseeing that our blowups in the past have come from a lack of consciousness and processing, we give ourselves room, we give ourselves space, we give ourselves tenderness. Okay? And if someone just blows off at you this day, you'll have a better idea why. Doesn't mean it makes it okay, but you'll have a better idea why. Next slide, please. April the 20th. Contracts, commitments, and bold conversations up on deck this day. Serious, serious weight towards this day. And we could get, from propensity, okay, we could get very pushy very, very fast. Or people could get very, very pushy with us. So proceed with care. Even though this is a really opportune day, it comes with some self-possession practice that is as opportune. Okay? Okay. April 25th, meet inner tension head on to find your way to a big breakthrough. Again, just don't manhandle yourself in the process. I keep saying that term, don't I? Propensity. And then the last one, April 26th. This is really important because it's a day when many of us are going to kind of encounter speed bumps relative to the work we're doing, or the projects that we're actively participating in. If that occurs, please understand the speed bump is happening for you, because there's some kind of practical adjustment needed. And if you just go, you'll miss the indications of the adjustment. Okay? Okay. Next slide, please. Look at that. Okay? Now, I said this to Erica when we were reviewing to prepare for today. This does not mean that there's no heat this month, because we started out saying this is spicy and it's going to last 6 weeks. It means that there's no one single day that's more heated than the rest of the month. Okay? So I just wanted to clarify, because that could be important. I want you to know that with April, always the month I go on vacation, says Erica. Yeah, you did talk about that when we were reviewing. There's a kind of artfulness that's being asked of us to develop, to lean into. How do you artfully be with your heat? How do you heartful, you know what I mean? And so I said artful and I said heartful. All right. Yeah. I'm going to say one more thing for those of you who know, the dark feminine is going to be moving real seriously throughout this time, 6 weeks. Now, if you took the deeper story in the first quarter, you'll have a sense of what I mean, because the womb of creation, when we've got all kinds of quote unquote male energy with Aries, yeah, dark feminine, folks. Yeah. We won't really get to understand that more deeply until we get to the fourth quarter of the course. But again, yeah, if you know, you know. Next slide, please. Favorite fields. There's not as many because there's not as many moves. Next slide, but they mean business nonetheless. So sifting ideas or harvesting ideas, again, they're going to come fast and furious. Which ones are yours? And how do you sift through them so that you're not trying to take on 12? So fear of missing out could be very alive. Helping people meet that concern and sift so that they know, can sense, can feel which ones are theirs truly and which ones are not will really matter. If your work involves that, innovation disruption, okay? Action targeting. Again, how do I know that this rush to action is mine? And how do I be targeted about it without having the condition of the world decide that for me? So there's some unlearning that will be happening, okay? Fresh start to long haul, especially if you've got lots of fire or air. You could be a specialist in this because you've had to learn it. Master path, okay? And there'll be particular ways that you do fresh start to long haul. So be very careful that you don't include all the things because that won't be the case. Practical and budget beauty. So I didn't get into the other influences that are working with beauty. Remember, we talked about that. Beauty is an essential. What do we mean by that? We talked about that. But it's also with the other influences like, yeah, you don't have to spend an extraordinary amount of money. Normally when beauty is considered, beauty kind of goes like this with luxury. And there's some of that in here, but it's also, how do I have a luxury experience without breaking the bank? That's in here. Okay? And it might be challenging some of our notions about business models and earning models. Just saying. Teaching people to savor. We live in a culture that has us attempt to move at light speed all the time, period, no excuses. Savoring. And being with savoring so we can hear ourselves. I already know someone who's working on this. And then podcasting. Podcasting is getting a big fat influx of energy. And that could be really important to pay attention to. Okay? But again, your call, your way, not what someone else says is working. Take it into consideration, but often what's working is poking people into, yeah. Okay? Next slide, please. Live for May. Can you believe we're like a month away from May, month and a half? It's just wild. Live for May is on Thursday, April the 30th. It's the last Thursday, and then the next day we got, at our usual time of 1 p.m. Eastern. Check the reminder or invitation emails or in our Facebook group page for a link to check your local time if you don't live in Eastern time. Okay? Next slide, please. Oh, yes. Okay. There's the link to go and explore and invest and put yourself in. Please, please, please do consider it for yourself because I really don't want you to miss the opportunity to walk alongside me as we process and practice our way into optimizing all the opportunities. It's big, folks. It's big. Okay. All right. Next slide. I think the last one. Okay. Any questions or shares? I'd love to hear what's popping for you, or if you have questions relative to what we've talked about for April. And if you're watching this in the replay and a question occurs to you, or you have an aha, please come on over to the Facebook group and let me know. Okay. I'm in and out regularly. So, those of you percolating out there, any questions, any shares? Can you tell which ones of April's influences are already calling you because you're a sensitive? I'd love to hear you.
Lisa,
Yes.
hi, it's Alex.
Hi, you.
Um, I had three things that jumped out at me while you were speaking.
Uh-huh.
Um, the first one was that sort of fogginess with uh, and I've been experiencing that. It was like I was doing really well mentally. I was on a roll, and then all of a sudden, it was like my brain
Yep.
turned to mush.
Uh-huh.
And it was frustrating because I was in the middle of things and my first impulse was to just keep pushing through. And then I
Yep.
realized that I can't even if I try.
Right.
So, okay, fine, let's just go binge watch something and not try to, make myself keep
Yeah.
going.
Yep.
And then, as I was doing that, just like, randomly choosing things and looking at them and I started to notice a pattern too in what I was being drawn to.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of realized that, oh, I'm kind of putting things in the bank for later.
Mm-hmm.
It's touching on ideas and things that might, be useful for when my brain starts to function again.
Yep.
And that helped me to like calm down and stop wanting to push,
Right.
just relax into this is what's happening now.
Right.
And also, the one of the other things was the new moon in Aries, the beginning new things. Eh, I've been sort of on that trajectory for a while now,
Yep.
and I've been thinking about like, okay, and when you said that, I thought maybe that's probably a really good time to focus on how do I want this new life to be?
Right.
It's like by this
Yep.
time next year, I'll probably be moving into a new place in a new city. And it's kind of been in the back of my mind of like, how do I want to live there? What do I want my life there to be like? So that I'm thinking that's probably a good time for me to really sit down and focus on maybe just, a few bullet points. Like, what
Yep.
do I want to include here and not include here? And, you know, as I'm redesigning things.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. That's a good one. I love that. Have you been
And
in the deeper story for 2026?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
So you might want to go back to the answers that your life gave you for the first couple of practices, because that will help.
yes,
Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
that's good. And the
Yep.
last thing that jumped out at me was the Venus and Gemini, the communication, the words, finding the language.
Right.
Because I'm doing a lot of writing, it's like, oh, this would be perfect because in
Yep.
some places I'm struggling with how to express things. So finding that
Yeah.
language.
Yeah. Yeah. Given that you're world building,
Yeah.
that could be really advantageous for you because there could be, I don't know, is there language creation because it's a world that is
Yes,
okay. Yep. Not surprised that came knocking for you.
exactly. One of
Yep.
my worlds.
There you go.
It's a language.
Yeah.
Like I need to sort of create the language to
Yeah.
some degree, almost like a constructed language thing project.
Awesome.
So
Good.
perfect for that.
Yeah. Perfect for that. Excellent. Thanks, Alex. Good to hear
Thank
you.
you. You too.
Patrice popped something into the chat saying, I've been more aware of anger rising when I'm getting tired. Yep. Next step, pausing. The other thing that I want to suggest, because pausing is great, and if you're getting angry when you're getting tired, that might be um, an indicator that something you've gotten really good at sitting on anger in some places, and when you're tired, your ability to sit on it is not as strong. So, yeah. Hope that's helpful, Patrice. And not just for you, but for all of us. Um, Remember we talked about, old resentments and old ers. I pay close attention to that one too for you. Okay. Yes. She says yes. Hmm. I've been noticing myself getting, my wick has gotten about this, like short, short, short. It takes far, far less for me to feel angry and just kind of brr, woo. Um, and I'm listening to that showing up for a lot of people. I'm also hearing that a lot of us kind of turn inward and punish ourselves because we're what, but rather than punish, to just then go see, wow, so what do I need to be paying attention to? Because, yeah,
Adele
propensity.
has her hand up, Lisa.
Oh, thank you very much, Adele. We need to turn on your microphone, Adele. Oh, are you having a hard time turning your microphone on? Are you able to turn it on for her, Erica?
I can ask to unmute. That's all I can do.
Okay. We can't hear you, Adele. I'm so sorry. Do you want to pop it into the chat, maybe? Or have you changed your mind? Adele? She left. Maybe she's going to come back. Fingers crossed that will work for you if you do. So I want to just confirm for those who are listening to the replay, in the chat, Erica published, pardon me for the sirens in the background, the processing days inside the deeper story of 2026. Those are Sunday, April the 19th. That's right. We'll be gathering at Sunday at 1:00. The second one is Sunday, April 26th, the following Sunday, again at 1:00 Eastern. And then Monday, June the 29th at 1 p.m. Eastern. So if you're part of the Living the Deeper Story, you might want to pop those dates into your calendar if you don't have them already. And if you're kind of on the fence and wondering when those processing dates will be taking place, those are the dates: Sunday, April 19th, Sunday, April 26th, and Monday, June the 29th, all at 1 p.m. Eastern. Okay. Anybody have anything else they want to share or ask? Sally Joe, the conversation about sovereignty and partnership, very resonant, and anger. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I would pay very close attention to that. And I'm not speaking just to you, Sally Joe. I'm talking to myself too. When we get into the last part of the third quarter, ooh, anger. Did I mention anger? Yes. Because one of the things that takes us out of self-possession, and makes it difficult to not just be sovereign, but be in shared sovereignty, in any kind of relationship, particularly given we live in a man's world. Just going to say that, means that there's a great many of us feeling a whole lot of anger for real good reason. And it's not just our own anger. It's, from what I can tell, there's some ancestral stuff going on there too. So, allowing ourselves to feel it and to be with it deeply enough, long enough, that the layers of information that are there and the building of capacity for self-possession and sovereignty. Oof, yeah, big deal, big deal. And when we get to the third quarter and even the fourth quarter of Living the Deeper Story, there will be some, yeah, there will be some big fat opportunities and wild openings. So I'm glad you're there, Sally Jo. Hi.
Would you say another hi? A word about building of capacity?
Yeah.
If if it's
So,
a good time.
yeah, no, I'm really glad you asked the question. Can I ask you a question in return?
Of course.
When I say that phrase, what occurs to you? What does it feel like, or what do you think that might mean? Or does it just
Like,
bring about? I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Say more.
no. It's about building bandwidth, having more personal
And
bandwidth,
yeah,
and skill and applied skills.
yes.
Applying the skills that are already available or
Well,
studied or
not in
some.
all cases. So
Okay.
I love what you said, applying skills, but it assumes we have those skills. If you're someone who's never been allowed to be angry,
Mm,
you get shut down. And I'm just gonna say, and historically, remember we're in a big year. We had a 9,000 year reset on the 20th of February, womb of creation, Aries activation point, all that stuff. So we are asking ourselves, so if I am someone who's helping to create, to plant the seeds of culture for the next 9,000 years, and I and my ancestors have always been told we're not allowed to be angry, been shut down when we felt angry, shut ourselves down because it was too dangerous to be angry, etc., etc. We don't have those skills. Our forebears didn't necessarily have those skills. And so part of what's going on now is the call to be with anger, without shutting ourselves down. And in many cases, we don't even know we're doing it because deeply conditioned. Anger, in many cases, feels terrifying to feel because what we've witnessed is what happens when people who cannot contain their anger govern themselves when angry. It does a lot of damage. Yeah. So that ricochets around in here, but often in ways we can't see. So it's also about externalizing the responsibility and building the capacity and the skills to do that. And then building the capacity to be with the power that flows through us because we allow ourselves to experience our own anger. It is a reclamation of a kind of power that goes hand in hand with self-possession and sovereignty. Can you be sovereign in the experience of anger if you can't be with anger? Does that help?
yeah. What just popped as you were saying that is, um, it, my in my household, being angry, which what I my the injustice of it all is my whole
Yep.
thing, was meant not being loved,
Mm.
and not being part of the fold, part of the tribe, because anger meant not capitulating or being controlled. And so and it's still that way. So I'm like, oh, that's something to work with. Thank you.
Yeah. Big important. So that's mastery path. You may remember when we talked about that when we did your soul map. That's mastery path for you. There's good reason why that is central for you. And the timing of your question relative to what's going on for all of us, that's wicked important. So thank you. Thank you for carrying it. And thanks for asking the question. Is that helpful?
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
please come to Live with Lisa for the current. I believe, let me just double check the date. Here's another good reason to join the course, Living the Deeper Story, because you become a member of the current, and if you choose that option, and you get extra time with me the first Friday of every month, and we talk and explore.
I'm in it. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I just haven't
So
taken
this
advantage of
is,
it. Okay.
yeah, bring the
Yeah. Yeah.
questions. So
Okay.
April 3rd is the next Live with Lisa in the current.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. See,
Thank you.
I am under ordinary circumstances. Like, please understand. I miss my darling husband, late husband, every single day, and I have an advantage that is becoming a disadvantage. I live alone. I don't have anyone to do this work with on a daily basis. If you live with people, children, spouses, partners, roommates, whatever, you have an advantage. It might not feel like one, but I'm telling you, it is advantage because I don't have that anymore. I have been having to put myself in so that I have partners to work with. I've been choosing it. Sometimes it's fun and sometimes it's challenging. But please understand that if you are in living arrangements where you are engaging with human beings day in and day out, you have advantages this year and they're going to be uncomfortable, but they are super important with all of this. And so again, I say thank you to you, Sally Jo. Thank you. Thank you. Not
Thank you.
having,
Thank you
you're
to you.
welcome. Not living alone in many, and there's a great many women these days who are choosing to live alone, to not partner, to not date, to not if they have the financial wherewithal to be able to choose that. And some of them are going to find the call to be in relationship challenging because they're doing it for good reason. Some of that is driven by, yeah, no, we're not doing that now. So there's a real mixed bag in here culturally. And even if the choice is to live alone for good reason, we're still going to need opportunities to practice some of this. So I'm just going to say that for the folks like me who are living on their own. Okay. Thanks, Sally Jo. I appreciate the fact that you asked that question. Anybody else? A question? Did Adele come back?
No, ma'am.
Okay. That's unfortunate. Okay. Anybody have anything else they want to share or they're kind of percolating with and they sort of have a question, but they're not really sure or share? I would love to hear. Okay. I think that then means that we are complete for today. It's 20 minutes after. Okay. You're so welcome, Karen. So I want you to note that this is going to be April and the first couple of weeks of May are going to be hot and spicy. You may not have questions now, but you might have questions when we're a week in or just a day or two after that new moon. Please remember, you can always come into our private Facebook group and share your experience, ask questions. I will be in and out a little more regularly in April because things could be a little feisty. Okay. Okay. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it so much. If you would, please turn your microphone on and say goodbye. I'd love to hear your voice.
Bye, Lisa.
Bye,
Bye.
Lisa.
Thank
Thank
Bye,
you.
you.
Lisa.
Thank
Bye,
you so much,
everybody.
Lisa,
Bye,
as
Erica.
always.
Everyone.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Take good
Thank
care,
you.
folks. Bye.
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 Bye.